Hello and welcome back to the best of Rslash. Today we're taking a look again at Entitled Parents, where OP's sister ruins her wedding as well as OP's graduation. This next story has been posted by Paperweight Fairy. Part 1. My fiance and I have been together for 8 years and engaged for 3. I was doing my PhD program and was juggling planning the wedding. My fiance took much of that work, but it was perfect because our dream venue was booked till after my graduation. So what we did is book our dream venue 3 years in advance. It is a really beautiful venue. The only slot we got was September of this year. My sister got engaged a few months ago to her fiance. They were planning on having a spring wedding next year. They had no venue lined up, but have a few vendors lined up as well as a set date. Yesterday, our parents invited us and our significant others to a family barbecue, where my sister announced to our extended family that she is expecting. Everyone was so happy for her and my brother-in-law, who is a great guy. My nan asked my sister if the wedding was still on the set date or if they were going to wait. Because of the baby, she said no, that she hoped to move it to September. No big deal. We don't have many out-of-town guests, so they could attend to both weddings, no problem. Nan was happy and asked sister if she needed help planning on such a short notice. My sister then turned around and said, "That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I was really hoping we could take your venue. I really cannot stress myself out too much with planning a wedding while going to maternity classes, and I think it is so beautiful. It would really mean a lot to me." It went silent. But everyone was looking at me, expecting me to say, "Yes, of course, everything for my little sister." My brother-in-law looked very uncomfortable and told her that they had talked about this and it was not okay to put me on the spot. But my sister just said, "Don't be like that. My sister just wants to do the best for me, so it's not a big deal, right?" I just said, "Well, it kind of is. I don't know. I have my heart really set on the venue." Cue the crying. She stormed off. Nan told me that I was being selfish because she needed the venue more than I did. I tried to defend myself, and my mother said, "You waited 3 years. Would it have killed you to wait a few more months? When has your sister ever asked you for something?" A few comments later, my fiance got really mad, and we left. My sister called me crying and said that it was unfair that I always get what I want, and that I could have done this one thing for her. Dad said it was just a venue and what matters is the person who you are marrying. He is kinda right, but we have been planning for so long. Also, side note from me, if it is about the person you're marrying, then also little sister shouldn't care as well. My fiance is furious with my family and doesn't even want my sister to come. Now, my family is threatening not to come because I am being selfish and my sister needs it more than me because having a baby is too stressful. My brother-in-law called me and apologized for the inconvenience. He told me he had discussed it with my sister and she had told him she would not ask. He is properly mad with her now and warned me that my sister is blaming me for potentially ruining her marriage. My father has sent me about 5 texts along the lines of, "I hope you're happy your sister hasn't stopped crying since yesterday," and so on and so on. My fiance and I have decided to boot my sister from the bridal party and replace her with my aunt, who is the only family member that took my side. We have not decided whether or not we will invite my family as a whole. Furthermore, my mom took it upon her to tell on us. She called fiance's parents and told them that it would be best if my sister gets it because she is pregnant and preeclampsia runs in the family, whatever that means. My future father-in-law told them to f*** off and basically ripped my mom a new one for expecting something so ridiculous and that they were going to lose me if they kept playing favorites. So my mom is now crying too and saying that my father-in-law is an ass. This is just getting so pathetic. It seems straight out of a bad soap opera. My in-laws are driving to us currently with some supper and wine and basically told me not to worry and that no matter what happens, that they will be my safety net. I cried of happiness. Part 3. So it hasn't been that long, but this post blew the hell up. I was expecting only a few answers, but the support was overwhelming. What boggled my mind is that the story flooded over to mainstream media. But let's get to the story. So since this went viral, a lot happened. My sister saw the story while browsing on her Reddit accidentally. She lost her mind. She accused me of painting her like a loony and misinterpreting facts. My sister got wind of the situation due to various media outlets and went on Reddit. She said that I was being unfair, that she is family, and that she asked it nicely because she loves me. She also underlines the fact that the opinion of internet strangers doesn't count because family is more important and I should focus on making my family happy. The only text I sent back was this: I'm sorry that you perceived it that way. It did not in any matter distort what happened. As you might notice, I didn't describe your tone nor exaggerated anything. Perhaps you remember that night differently in your mind than I do, but I digress. I am sick and tired of bending to your will. My whole life I have been your servant and your doormat. Remember all the birthdays I had to share with you because you would throw a tantrum because you didn't get presents? Or when you cried so that I would fill out job applications for you? But the thing that has hurt me most till now is when you ruined my graduation. I am done. I admit that I also spoiled you, but I will not any longer. If you want to marry so bad before your baby is born, then you could look at Hotel X that offers last-minute weddings. I have spent so much time planning my wedding to gift it to you, and if you want to ruin our relationship over this, then go ahead. I will sleep sound and safe knowing that it wasn't my fault. She only sent me a, "Wow, you must love me so much," and blocked me. She unblocked me this morning to send me this. Wedding planner says, "Hello dear, I got the message from your mother and will proceed with the rebooking of the venue on the spot. However, this will have extra costs as we have to change the names on the contract. Please come by my office tomorrow so we can sign the new contract." Sister: "That's great, I'll be there at 9. My parents haven't actually written me since the thing with my father-in-law. My older brother, who yes I do have, but didn't mention him because he wasn't at the barbecue, contacted me and wanted to know what happened because he got a weird story from my mom and dad. Mom had told him that I had offered previous to the barbecue to give up the venue to my sister and that I humiliated her. I told him what really happened, and he had no problem believing me. We talked a lot about our parents' behavior, and he confessed that him moving was partially due to our parents being, and I quote, shitheads to us. He told me that my mom had gotten wind from the post and was mad at me for betraying my family. I haven't written my parents what so many of you had advised me to say because I had to come to terms with the fact that they love my sister more than me if they love me at all. The wedding. We sat together and put passwords with majority of our vendors and also with the venue directly. We didn't talk to our planner yet, which is why the text to my sister worries me so much. Also, we canceled the catering that my parents paid for. So short term, we won't be able to get a full catering like we wanted to. But all our friends and my fiance's family will help us prepare a buffet, and everyone is going to chip in. That will be our bachelor party. As we will have spent more on our food now that we canceled our bachelor parties, and we'll have our family and friends cooking session. Thank you again for helping me see how toxic my family is. I will try to sort it out. If they apologize from the bottom of their hearts, they will be allowed into my wedding. But if not, then well, I still have my brother who will be walking me down the aisle and my aunt. Part 4. We called my planner, and she was actually really horrified. She told me she'd never had as much as talked to my mother since the day we went to book the venue. She assured me that even if they were to call and say that I wanted it, I had to be present to make any changes. So we informed everyone that will work for us on our wedding day, and they offered to hire security for that day at a reduced price. For all of you wondering what the graduation story is, OP then left the graduation story. Some people ask me for the graduation story. I talked about it in my last post, and I am sick and bored out of my mind. I will tell you the story. This wasn't long ago, so I remember it quite well. It was the day I delivered my thesis and presented it. A German tradition is that once you complete your PhD, you get one of those black graduation caps that has pictures, memes, and little toys that describe you best glued on them. So I got one that I absolutely loved. One of the things glued on my cap were gummy worms because I would eat them constantly. We had booked a little hall in the university to celebrate. My fiance and friends had decorated it, provided coffee, snacks, drinks, etc. Also, my fiance had crafted a beautiful cake, one of those that had self-made marshmallow fondant and a color gradient that went from yellow to pink. Really beautiful cake. So eventually, after snacking, talking, and even dancing a bit, it was time for the speeches. My friends and my boss said how proud they were of me, etc. And then came my fiance. He talked about all my accomplishments in my life up to this point. My sister absolutely lost it. I mean, she screamed and cried like I had killed her cat. My mom was giving my boyfriend signs to stop his speech and went running towards my sister. My father was already kneeling beside her, calming her down. Everybody was kind of lost at this point. My mom came up to me and asked me to do a little speech mentioning the accomplishments of my sister and all that. I asked why. My mom told me about her being rejected from her master's program and that this was the reason for her breakdown. I suppose I looked annoyed because my mom snapped and then said, "You know what? Forget it." She then told my dad, who managed to calm my sister down, to take her home. My dad took her by the arm and they started to walk out. And holy hell, as my sister noticed the cake, she lost it again, crying like a maniac, and then she smashed my f***ing cake. Everyone went silent. My dad dragged my sister out without so much as apologizing. My mom just muttered, "My poor baby." Then I started crying. My friends and fiance went to cheer me up, but my mom was texting dad to see if my sister was all right. She followed me to the bathroom and reprimanded me for not acting when I saw my sister crying. I told her that I was hurt by all the scene. My mom just said that I had to understand my little sister because it was a hard time for her and that she didn't have a fancy graduation like mine. She then left. We tried to keep the celebration, but it was not really possible. We went home early. When I went to look for my cap, I found that the gummy worm package that was glued to it had been ripped out. As I later found out, that was my sister's doing because she was craving gummy worms. Wow, OP, thank you for staying strong and not letting this get to your head because it really does sound like your family has a problem, but at the same time, it seems like you're taking it okay. I want you to know that you have every right to be upset and that this is not normal. Thank you for listening to the Best of Rslash. If you like this content, please make sure that you leave a thumbs up as that is the best way to help our channel grow. Also, if you didn't know already, we release content like this every single day, 7 days a week. So if you want to hear more, please subscribe.